Buckle up, boys and girls, because class is starting and it's going to kick your ass. This is the Prepared Mind.
I think ever since you've come into office, things are really looking up. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything. No, it really has been a tough first year for you, Mr. President. Gas is up, gas is up, gas is up, everything. Rent is up, everything, everything, everything. Gas is up, rent is up, food is up, gas is up, rent is up, food is up, everything.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Prepared Mind channel. Woo! It is Tuesday. What was that noise? Okay. Very good. More electronic gizmos and sounds than you can shake a stick at. This is the Prepared Mind channel. It's our afternoon show, and you're on here live if you're on subscribestar.com or the preparedmind.club as a premium member. Otherwise, you're observing from the outside. The outside, if you want to get to the inside to be part of the inner circle, it's $2 a month. You guys are guerrilla funding this channel. YouTube is not paying us advertising revenue. And I was having an interesting conversation. I'll get more to that in a second. It has everything to do with prepping and where you are at up here. Now, where was I at? Oh, man, give me some more electroshock therapy. Anyways, it's been a heck of a busy day. We're ready to roll. So I talked to someone I've known for almost a year. I work with and around the guy. And we talk quite often, you and I, this group. How do we get people to become preppers? How do we get people to wake up? How do we get people to listen to us? How do we form groups? Well, so I was talking to a friend of mine, and I'm going to call him Paul. Yeah, like that funny alien movie, Paul. Except Paul's not an alien. I don't think he is. But he's a very nice gentleman. Do business with him. He's a subcontractor. And something popped up. A key word came out of his mouth. So I used a keyword out of my mouth. Like I said, we've been talking for quite a while, but because it's business associated, typically I don't just lead in with, that motherfucking Trump, I wish he would just get in there and kick everyone's ass, right? You don't start off a conversation that way. Not typically. I really want him to go. You don't do that. We start kind of mild. So it's interesting. So I'm talking to Paul, and a couple of key words went back and forth. And he kept saying, well, don't be offended if I have to say this. I said, listen, if we can't have an honest human-to-human conversation without potentially influencing or upsetting the other person, then we're not living as humans. And he was like, yeah, I like the way you think there, tall blonde guy. Anyway, so Paul and I talked, and it was quite interesting. He has said, he used the terms himself. I've been awake for a little while now. Not woke, awake. Big freaking difference, right? Awake means you took the red pill. Woke means you took it in the ass. So I found out, okay, he took the red pill, and I let him talk for a bit. And he's like, what do we do to fix Washington? How are we going to fix it? I mean, what do we have to do? Show up 1,000 people with our rifles and make them do their job right? And I said, I said, let me think about that a moment, Paul. And it was a great conversation. Trust me. I was like, this is where we're all stuck, is what can we do about it? We can't just go out there and force them to do anything. So I went through the litany of explaining how in the 1700s they went from complaining in newspapers, and 50 years later we had a revolution. We're somewhere in the middle of that. We don't like what we're seeing going on, and it's time for a revolution / partisan war / civil war, etc. But his frustration level was very high. His understanding of minutia was very high. His grasp of the nitty-gritty concepts was very high. And I was like, okay, who do you listen to? And he's like, well, I listen to Tim Pool. He like felt me out to make sure I wasn't offended by that. I was like, yeah, he's a smart young guy. Got a lot of interesting ideas and thoughts rolling around his head. And he's talking to a group that we can't communicate because our demographics here, folks, are about age 40 to about age 70. We got some stragglers above and below, but that's basically the demographics. 15 years younger or older than me is about where we hit. Anyways, so the upshot of all of this is we're always asking, why aren't Americans awake? Why doesn't someone do something? Interesting. I got an interesting insight from this one conversation that a lot more people know better. In fact, Paul said this. He said, you know, when I was such and such an age, and I'll keep that private. He says, I just knew something wasn't right. I don't know what was wrong, but I knew it wasn't right. And maybe we all started out that way decades ago. And we've all taken different paths to get to where we are now. But I'm willing to bet that most of us out here are educated enough to know that something ain't right. And a smaller number have a good idea of what's going on. And a smaller number are really well grounded and informed. Our job is to help them. Now, the one way I guess I could help Paul today, and you got to understand, in business, especially if you're top dog in a business, the owner, the marketing and you know, outside representative, or if you're dealing with the public or clients, you've got to be a little bit careful. At the same time, once you recognize somebody is not a screaming woke tard, talk to them and encourage them to speak up. I was like, you don't have to apologize for having an opinion. Have an opinion. Share it with me. You could teach me something. So I got Paul to open up, and boy, did we have a nice conversation about a lot of different things, ranging from, we went all the way back to the JFK assassination, fast forwarded to 9/11, fast forwarded to the 2016 election. So we kind of covered the board, and it was very refreshing. And I guess you never know, but everyone I've met down south, folks, with the exception of those that I know are Democrats, once you get behind that initial curtain and you get to know somebody, they'll share with you all kinds of opinions. I've met wealthy people that have armories in their home, that have opinions like all communists need to die. That's very common. It's commonly held, commonly believed, but I think, and this is what Paul talked to me about that I was not aware of, I think we're all being tricked. He said, you know, John, he goes, you know who they are? And I was like, who is they? He goes, they're the people that convinced us to stop picking on gays. They are the ones who said we have to accept the trans. They, them. The woke world. He said the big takeaway for him, and I thought this was an excellent observation, was when Elon Musk bought Twitter X, right? Twitter. He said, I want to give you $40 billion for it. And they were like, F you. And then the world said, hey, you have to sell it. If you're selling it, you have to sell it, right? It's the money has to go to the fiduciaries, right? The stockholders. Have to think about stockholders first. So then they were like, yeah, okay, we'll accept your $40 billion. Then Elon Musk said, I don't think so. You need to verify how many of those users are real and how many are bots. Because bots is fake advertising, and I'm not going to get sued over fake advertisement revenue, right? So they did some, what would you call it, verification, auditing, if you will, and discovered that a huge percentage of Twitter was nothing but bots, computers that were continuing to say the same shit again and again and again everywhere, influencing people's thoughts, which is followed by influencing their behavior. And he said that they that have pushed all this woke shit on the country is bots and Twitter, because that is the primary instantaneous news relay system. Now, YouTube here, right, is good for 8 to 24 to 36 hours after an event. If you're live with me, you're fucking live with me. But for everyone else, if you're not a premium member, it's about 8 hours. Now, 8 to 12, depending on which show we're talking about. Twitter, it's instant. So think about that, folks. Right? Our world has been influenced, and we're being, and I think this was Paul's kind of his carefulness, his cautionary attitude, is that he doesn't want to offend them. But during our conversation, I was like, if them is a huge percentage, there's a lot less of them out there in our families, at work, in public, at the grocery store, at the gas station, anywhere. There's not as many of them as they would have us believe about them, the wokies. It is a huge social media, psychological operation and propaganda scam set up to scare us into silence, submission, and obedience. So, that also, Paul said, is why the left went lickety-split, dipshit crazy. Ape shit, bat shit, elephant crap crazy when Musk said he was going to buy Twitter, because they knew they were losing a huge influential tool. If they kick all the fucking bots off there, debotify, it would be a whole different world. Well, unfortunately, I think the bots are still there. I certainly know the fucking trolls are still there. The idiots. But I'm not afraid to speak up. Call me crazy. Your First Amendment is the first one you should practice every fucking day. All right, now we've covered that. I think it's time, I guess, to get into what the hell is going on in the wide world. Got a few stories I want to run by you. Then we'll do your questions. So get your thoughts down below. Mr. Uman is in the house working hard to make sure your thoughts get considered by everyone. So, New York State, New York City especially, is quaking in its boots. Absolutely quaking. Here's a headline, right? What was done to Trump spells doom for business in New York, because free enterprise is getting killed, and opening the floodgates of socialism in the financial capital of the world has begun. And they're saying, hey, Judge Engoron, that little schmarmy, schmalzy piece of shit judge, awarded a $350 million verdict against Trump. How do you like that shit, huh? You know what's interesting about Paul also is he wanted to tell me he's a Trump supporter, while, like us, he does not support Trump 100,000%. He's like, hey, he does some good things. He pissed off the left. He showed us how screwed up the world is, how the government can't be saved through normal means. Did a great job of talking, but he started off with, I don't want to offend you, but, you know, Trump's my man. I'm going to have to vote for Trump. It's a good conversation. But he, once again, Paul, very astute. He says, look, left wing, right wing, Democrat, Republican, birds, wings of the same bird. He goes, but, I vote Republican because I want to get Trump in there. And he saw Trump as basically the last chance. Like many of you, and I do believe that this election is the last one we have as an opportunity to prove that our system can operate and function, even though we know massive cheating is going on. So, Charles Barkley. How's that for a smooth fucking segue, huh? Charles Barkley, NBA legend, right? Chuck. He said some shit during the NBA All-Star game. And he's good for this stuff. This is what Charles Barkley asked of his former, or I'm sorry, his work commentator in the booth. He says, "Hey, Reggie, if you had a choice of being in the cold or being around a bunch of homeless crooks in San Francisco, which would you take?" One of the commentators says, "We love San Francisco." Charles Barkley shot back at him, "No, we don't. You can't even walk around down there." So Mr. Green, who loves San Francisco, says, "Yes, you can walk around." And so Barkley went after him again. He said, "Yeah, with a bulletproof vest." Fucking Barkley. Folks, when you speak the truth, when you're not afraid, you can make a big difference. Make a big, big, big difference. So in this case, right, Charles Barkley was not afraid to speak. He did so while on, national TV, if you want to say that, at an NBA All-Star game. He went right out and just took a bitch slap, bam, at San Francisco, a massive, stinking, rotted, fetid, Democrat socialist shithole. And it is literally a shithole. Okay, let us move on. I want to hit this, folks. It is time to take a wild guess. All righty, guess what, folks? Ah, shoot. Covered it up. It looks like another strange death has visited America. Now, we cannot catalog every single person who dies in weird circumstances. We can't catalog every single super athlete, superstar, young child, person in good health, had a heart attack, had pulmonary problems, died of clots, brain shut. We can't cut everyone, but we'll bring you some of the bigger ones that make sense, because I want you to take a wild guess. Robin Windsor, a dancing star. Have you ever met or seen or heard someone who dances? And they love to dance. Fuck, dancers. Happy feet, they won't stop dancing. They're usually in great shape physically. And there it is. So Robin Windsor was 44 years of age. Big time dancer. Dead. Sudden death. Pow. Now, Andreas Brem had a cardiac arrest attack. He is a World Cup champion. Well, unfortunately, dead. Now, here's the thing, 63 years old. Well, okay, 63 years old. That's not unbelievable for someone at age 63 to have a heart attack. But in this world now, folks, with all the drugs for lowering cholesterol and lowering plaque and making sure everything in your body works, and people with a ton of money, right? You would think that they would be better off. And they are. I really think they are. But age 63, well, a little marginal, right? Little marginal. Still. Suddenly. Now, Darcy T writes this. Here is the media's way to gloss over the massive number of heart-related deaths due to the Jim Jones juice. But they're sure to tell us the risk of infection, from cerveza bug is far greater. Not the risk of death, but the risk of infection. Right? So there's an article there. Cerveza bug, Jim Jones juice, linked to small increase in heart and brain disorders. But risk from infection is far higher, as if you get the infection, the cerveza bug, you're going to have all kinds of heart and brain problems then. Oh, yeah, it's much worse. So what they're saying is, you're damned if you do. Jim Jones juice. But you're really damned if you don't take their shit. Tell you what, I'll choose door number 3. Fuck you very much, Pfizer. Okay, now, continuing, folks. Cerveza bug, huge problem. Not because of cerveza bug, but because of, well, the New World Order. No. The not the New World Order. That's a conspiracy theory. No, how about the World Health Organization? Oh, yeah, those people. More letters. WHO, the WHO, right? This was actually put up by Jimmy Dore. Got some information. Jimmy Dore is a liberal who has a very, shall I say, popular show on YouTube. He's entertaining. He's a liberal, but he does hold this idea that you can't be hypocritical and stupid. Anyways, he had a doctor on the show yesterday highlighting the fact that excessive deaths are disproportionately higher in young working people. So the actuarial report and an article from The Hill is below. It's interesting, says Darcy. Interesting to note is that the CDC is retiring its excessive deaths webpage and data. It will no longer be tracked. It will no longer be updated. And she asked the question, gee, I wonder why. You know why. You know why. Dr. Peter Corey says young people are dying at staggering rates. Right? Staggering rates. www.sao.org says, hey, excessive death in the U.S., huge. Why are so many Americans dying early? A story from The Hill. We got all kinds of problems, folks. All kinds of problems. And they don't want us to know about it. No, they do not. What is it you want to talk about? This is your show. This is your channel. If you're a premium member, Monday through Friday, you get to talk live. So get your questions in, and we're going to talk about them. Now, the American Red Cross, they're being scrutinized because the American Red Cross requires anyone who has had the Jim Jones juice to call a hotline to see if they're eligible for donating their blood. This is a huge deal, right? The pure bloods out there, that is people who have not gotten the clot shot, that weren't tricked, forced, hornswoggled, or in any way manipulated and forced into getting it. You know, a lot of good people have. They were forced. They were tricked. It's called duress. But now the American Red Cross, which gets blood all the time, folks, right, collects blood, is saying, you know what? If you've got the Jim Jones juice, then, you know, we don't know what to do. In other words, I think they're seeing problems, folks, with the blood. And I'm going to implore everyone who's gotten the Jim Jones juice, detoxify yourself, get help detoxing, stay detoxed, detox whatever it takes, once a month, once a week. I don't know what's best. Once every 8 weeks. I'm not a physician. I just know getting detoxed is the way to do it. If I had taken the Jim Jones juice, I would be detoxing every week for like a fucking year. And then I'd sit around and wait. Make sure everything is cool. Everything's cool. And if I felt any twinge, I'd go get detoxed again. I'm telling you, crazy stuff, folks. Judge Engeron, you know that schmaltzy stud of a judge? Looks like he's about 80. Apparently, he's been accused of having sex with the secretary of opposing counsel in a previous case. So, Judge Engeron, stud man. Yeah, folks, that's where we're at. That's where we're at. Unbelievable with what's going on in this country. President Biden today, while entering Air Force One, tripped yet again, not once, but twice. Even though he's on the short staircase. They need now a short Air Force One. We'll call it the short plane, the short jet, the short bus. That's what we got, folks. Let's see. Dementia. They're talking about Joe Biden. Joe Biden told his campaign to highlight all of the crazy shit Trump is saying. I think that's a great idea. You know why? Because it will piss off all the Democrats. It won't inspire them to vote. It'll make them go into fits of Trump derangement syndrome. I love it. More of that. Anything Biden and the Democrats say to do is a sure loser. Sure loser. Now, we were talking about New York City. Truckers are going to ban it, protest it. We all need to not buy any fucking thing from New York or go there or in any way give them any money. Well, New York is continuing to suffer at their own hands. In New York City, at a migrant shelter, a fucking melee breaks out, a fucking brawl, a fisticuffs, a free-for-all, if you will. Illegal aliens flying left, right, throwing fists, kicks, punches, and even decided they were like, hey, fuck it, let's just attack these cops. Started viciously attacking cops once again. Learned your lessons yet, you fucking Yankees? And by Yankees, folks, I mean Democrats. Just a good joke from down south here. There's a lot of fucking Yanks have moved down here. Now, I'm a West Coast kind of guy, so I don't know what they call me, but they won't say it to my face. All right. There's this guy, and he's kind of a sensationalist, but I'm going to share with you his headline because today it sounds a little bit like a conspiracy theory. Tomorrow, it could be the fucking headlines. So Wayne Allen Root, he does a lot of writing for conservative magazines, articles, online publications, etc. Appears on TV from time to time. He said that America is about to become Mad Max. And I thought, okay, pal, you get to be on TV. You're paid big money to write stuff. And you're not going to share an opinion with the likes of the Prepared Mind Network? He says with 20 million new illegals and no new cops, there's your problem right there. 20 million new illegals and no new cops. In fact, we highlighted that the other day. How many thousands of police were assaulted in New York City? How many thousands of injuries have occurred in the last, well, I think they gave us 90 days, but certainly the last 365 days in the last year. Cops are quitting en masse in droves out of cities and just giving it up. Fuck it. It's not that they don't love their jobs. I'm sure a lot of them loved all of that crazy fucking mind-blowing power when they could pull over that little old lady and write her a ticket and go, listen, ma'am, you knock that shit off or I'll bust your ass. Tough guys. They don't like real criminals, folks. Criminals that don't give a fuck about them. And these criminals from South America, Central America, the Middle East, North Africa, every shithole third world country around the world that's sending their shit here and Joe Biden's letting it in, all that shit, it doesn't look at cops like they're Lysol and Clorox cleaner. They look at cops like they're, well, bunch of fluffy, soft donuts. All right. We're at the 30-minute mark. So let's go. I want to do some inner circle with you guys. right, Mr. Uman, I know you're there somewhere. What the heck is going on in this planet? Sheesh. Name redacted says, people who aren't yet looking for a life jacket or lifeboat may not be savable. Correct. Now, once again, the guy I talked to today, I'm going to call him Paul. Yes, Paul. Paul's the one I chose earlier. Okay. His name is Paul. He's been prepping for a while. He says, look, I would love to move. He literally said this. I'd love to move to the mountains and have a bunker and be totally safe. And I was like, dude, I had one of those. My ex-wife is taking care of it now, but I had one of those. It's a nice feeling. And I said, it doesn't matter where you are, there's going to be problems, you know, but still, I think a lot more people are aware that they better get a life jacket and a lifeboat for themselves because no one else is going to do it. But name redacted is correct. If they aren't looking yet, if they don't have any idea yet, they may not be savable. Just because they're not even slightly awake yet, they're not even kind of paying attention yet, there is a problem there. All right. Thank you, name redacted, very much. Mr. Uman, where are we going to roll next? We go to Roy, the crypto boy, and get your questions in down below. It is a Taco Tuesday if I ever saw one. Anyways, he says this, Roy does. He says, truckers boycott started yesterday. Similar boycott happened previously in Colorado. The court changed the decision in Colorado. Independent drivers are contractors and can decide on loads. People are together. Thoughts? Well, we have a lot of government interference. Government likes to interfere, and normally it doesn't go our way. I think there are quite a few drivers that work for Amazon or work for Redaway or work for, I'm trying to remember, Nate Schneider, or did Schneider go out of business? Swift. Okay, they're independent contractors, and they don't have to go anywhere they don't want to. Of course, an employer can say, we don't want you at all because you won't take any loads to New York. We're going to find out. What needs to happen here, in my opinion, is Americans need to figure out where the ground is on which they want to stand, and then to stand there and not be moved. You know, I really feel we should be calling, writing, emailing congressmen all the time, every day. Even if you know they're going to throw it away, they know they got a stack of 1,000 emails. But what if they got a stack of 10,000 emails or 50,000 emails every fucking day? They'd be like, whoa, the people are pissed off. And that's what that does. Even if they don't read them all, even if you think they don't give a fuck, it will tell them exactly how serious it is. That's why I say create an email and make a bulk emailing list. Put all of the representatives from your state in it, and your senators, and your state assemblymen and state senators, and send them the same thing every day. Number one, you took an oath, obey it. Number two, I think you're an asshole because you don't care about the Constitution, right? Number three, if you care about the Constitution, fucking prove it and do your job. Number four, see number one, start again. All right. The people are, I think, more often than not, Roy, I think the people are concerned about the country. They give a shit. They want to fix things. They just don't know how. This group says boycott. This group over here says write letters. This group over here says go to the Parent-Teacher Association. This group over here says call your financial advisor, put your money in a safe place. This person over here says you need to go grab a sign and stand down by the courthouse. This other person over here says you need to go to Washington, D.C. and stand on the steps of Congress and get arrested, right? So everyone, and by that last one, I mean do something stupid that'll get you arrested. Everyone has a different idea, and all of them, I think, are valid. except for the getting arrested part. So what do you do? Which one do you choose? Or two? Now, listen, I understand we all have lives. We all have lives. I have a bulk mailing list. I just go click on that list. All the names come up. They're all BCC'd, blind carbon copied, and they get shit sent to them. It doesn't take me any time to carve out a quick little letter, send it off, do your fucking jobs. But no matter what you do, just take some action. You will feel better about it if you do something about the problem we're in instead of just sitting around complaining. You know, I used to sit around and complain all the time. And finally, and this is back when I was in my 20s, a friend said, John, what are you actually doing besides complaining? Because complaining won't fix anything. You've got to take action. And he said it in a very nice way, and it meant a lot to me. You know, that someone was, an older person was willing to talk to me about, you know, important topics. Okay. This story I think is crazy, crazy, crazy. I want to share it with you. I know it's your guys' turn, but I want to share it. Years ago, the the president or prime minister of Haiti was assassinated. And guess what? The former first lady, his wife, has been indicted now over his assassination. The prosecutor's argument? She tried taking over the presidency. Now, this is a giant... Haiti is a pile of shit, folks. Even on the satellite map, you look down from the satellite map, you look at Haiti, you can see the difference between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Like, there's a fucking line on the island where it's like green and lush, and the other side's like all burnt and fucked up and shitty. Haiti, still, these politicians, whether they're Haitian or Canadian or American, they will kill to get what they want. Understand that, folks. They'll kill to get what they want. That's why I don't trust any of these fucking people. If they think they can get away with it, they'll give it a shot. Especially at a time when the Biden administration, the Justice Department, the Attorney General's office is doing absolutely nothing to prosecute crime committed by Democrats. All right, let's jump back to your guys' stuff. Mr. Uman. And Mr. Uman has something to say. He says, saw today that they're trying to revive the sex parties accusations against Matt Gaetz. Gets the fuck out of here on that one. Gaetz was accused of taking a woman who was underage across a state line to where the consensual age was lower. They accused him of that and found nothing there. They had a former FBI agent, folks, not a guy who could say the letters FBI, but a real FBI agent, right? These are supposed to be the smartest, most honorable, patriotic law enforcement guys, brilliant, strong, blah, blah, bunch of fruitcakes is what they are. But this FBI agent tried framing Matt Gaetz and extorting $25 million. $25 million. $25 million he was trying to screw them out of in order to not say something about some supposed sex scandal. But here we are. Now, weren't we told, hey, you don't talk about people in Washington, D.C. having sex. Hey, you know, who gives a fuck what Matt Gaetz is doing at a sex party? Shouldn't we be a little more concerned about the butt pirates in the Senate chamber? A hallowed, sacred political office where only the most prestigious senators can go talk with their snobby, affluent effete. They're assholes. They're assholes. Don't worry about them having butt dart tournaments inside the Senate chamber. We need to worry about Matt Gaetz. This is another fucking political snow job, hack job attempt. How many times do they have to try for the same thing? They'll keep going, folks. They will not give up on framing Trump. And if they can frame Getz, oh, they would love that. They would love it. Unbelievable. Quick follow-up on New York City. A private equity fund manager has announced publicly that, quote, he will not waste time. I think he said, I will not waste time. What won't he waste his time on? Researching new business opportunities in New York because of the Judge Engoron ruling. Fuck you, New York. You're done. All right, Mr. Uman. We'll have to keep an eye on the Matt Getz situation, see where they go with that one. Woo! Bunch of winners there in Congress. Name redacted says, what John is talking about has been happening to ScrewTube creators of our type and thinking. Virtual Sun Tzu, John. Make them think you're strong when weak. Now you play the opposite, the them. You know, who are the most powerful? Who, right? Them. Who is making us suck down this woke Kool-Aid? Who is making us silence ourselves? Them. Well, they pretend to be strong and claim that they're a very large percentage. But I think Uman and many others besides have said, you know what? These fruitcake wacko people represent less than 1% of the overall population. So you start with gays, the G. Well, G didn't have enough people in it. So then they said, well, how about the bisexual people out there? So there's the GB. And they're like, well, no, it's not a big enough group. We need to go after the lesbians, make sure we really get them in here. So now we got the LGB. And they're like, well, you know, we still don't have a big enough percentage of the population to make anyone give a fuck. So let's just start adding some more. LGBTQIA+. And then the maps came out. Remember those people? Well, I'm a minor attracted person, so that makes it okay. It's not a mental disorder. It's a preference. And I was born with it, so it must be fine. They did all they could to make themselves sound like they are a representative group and that they should be listened to. If you go to an insane asylum, if you could find one, and walk into the main room, you know, where people are coloring with crayons and licking their checkers, and ask them if crazy people should be believed. Everything they say must be true, and you have to entertain them and pretend with all their insanity that it's just fine. You'd be like, the fuck I will. And I'm not going to some lunatic asylum to find out. You go visit Mr. Charles Barkley in San Francisco, walk the streets and find out. The lunatics are no longer in asylums, folks. They're on the streets. They're in your city, and they register as Democrats. Wow. Uman says, I can't call it anything other than LGBS. I got you. Unbelievable. Oh, by the way, as we move closer and closer to the 2024 election, as we are now entering and engaging in the campaign season, Nikki Haley, as you know, she's not going to quit. All the other men have fallen by the wayside because they know they'll get their asses kicked by Trump, but not Nikki Haley. No. She's counting on an assassination to get her into the lead on the Republican side. But there's a lot of people that have misgivings about what is happening. They have strange, fanciful wishes. The Democrats want us to believe, as if we would all believe it again, that Trump is a Russian asset. Now get this. Remember Jen Circleback Psaki? Jen Psaki? Well, Jen Psaki said to Nancy Pelosi on her TV show, "What do you think Putin has on Trump? It sure seems like something." Putin endorsed Joe Biden the other day. Why? Because he said he's easier to control. In other words, Biden is a fucking idiot. He's a troglodyte. He's a dementia-packed moron. He's cooked. His elevator doesn't go all the way to the top. His cheese has slipped off the cracker. He doesn't have both oars in the water, right? Doesn't sound like Putin is endorsing Trump at all. I don't know why this is a talking point, but guess what? It is, once again, a talking point. The Democrats are going to try to say that Putin and Trump are allies. Crazy, huh? Crazy, crazy. It's out there. And folks, we got a lot more coming. What a world. Okay, Mr. Uman, let us continue, shall we? We got a lot of fun to have. Who's Your Life steps up and says, what up, y'all? Uman, Mikey G, Wolfman, Heidi Hi, and Chin. Just paid truck off. Gonna save $500 a month. Time for more preps. Yeehaw. Well, that's awesome. Awesome. What I'm talking about is people getting rid of debt. The reason it's imperative, folks, is for a couple of reasons. I believe I heard a story correctly today. It was reported. You charge up your credit cards, you max them out, you can no longer file bankruptcy to discharge credit card debt. In other words, they wrap you up, get you that 30% fuck you over, which is beyond usury, but it's allowed. Thank you, U.S. government. And you can't get out of it. You will be paying them the rest of your life. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, on this credit card debt discharge through bankruptcy. Now, to continue, we're going to continue to have problems. In fact, I heard someone today say, we're not going to get quantitative easing. We're not going to get a reduction in interest rates. In fact, you might expect to see higher interest rates in the next month or two. Like instead of the Powell pivot, it's going to be the Powell boot heel to your nutsack on the interest rates. They've broken the system, folks. They don't know whether to shit or get off the pot. They don't know whether to raise them or lower them. They don't know what to do at the Federal Reserve. Barking with Spider says, oh, he does have both oars in the water. One's dragging and the other is just wiggling. Look out. Literally, folks, we've got trouble. Now, as we roll in, man, do I have more at the moment, or is it my turn? I'm looking at you on the little screen. Where are we at? We got another one to throw up there. Let's do it. If you got it, okay. Because the last topic I want to save for myself. This is Uman, though, here. He says, also saw that the potato administration is quietly backing down on EV mandates, electrical vehicle mandates, as they are getting pushback from manufacturers and consumers. I think they're pushing it to 2050. Well, you see, I mean, this is business 101, folks. The first year in college, if you took business 101 and modeled a company that builds widgets and you want to get them out into the public. Well, transportation widgets are called cars. And wherever a car can go, there should be access to refueling. Whatever that car needs for energy needs to be available. And it should never be more than 15 minutes away from another refueling station. In the case of EVs, electric vehicles, they don't have that. There's no electricity available every 15 minutes or 15 miles. In fact, throughout most of the country, It can be up to 100 miles. You have to be extremely careful. And then in the cities, even in the high population cities, high density, they're not to be found. They're hard to find. And when you do find them, most of them are broke or being used by someone else. Consequently, people are finding it's not easy to get around. They're not as reliable in many cases as a gasoline automobile because there are so many shortcomings. The high price tag, the uncertainty about power, maintenance, repairs. People are having second thoughts. Ford, folks, Ford Motor Company has said, well, the old Ford Lightning electric vehicle truck, toast, done. Right? Manufacturers don't want them because they're losing their asses. The people of the country only buy them if it suits their lifestyle, meaning where they live and the circle they travel in. The wider your circle, the farther you go, the less appealing an electric vehicle is. So, yeah, let's see. If you're going to plan to have these vehicles out here, you also need the system behind it. You need mechanics that can fix them, replacement parts, meaning batteries too, as well as having charging stations. You need a complete maintenance, repair, and refueling infrastructure. A friend I know has a EV, and the nearest mechanic that could work on them is 50 miles away. Whoops. Right? Crossing your fingers, hope you don't have to use them. It's just the whole EV thing is a giant crock of shit. Because the government thinks that you can buy the cars and everything else will just magically fucking happen. Right? All right. The Second Amendment is coming back. Okay, Barking Wolf Spider says the real problem with EVs is that they don't last long enough to offset the carbon that goes into making it, not to mention charging it. That's absolutely correct, folks. In order to make an EV vehicle, it takes electricity that's being burned by coal-powered plants and diesel fuel that is used by diesel-powered mining trucks. It takes that to dig up the iron and other metals, to process the iron and other metals, to fabricate the iron and other metals. It can all be done, but it takes a lot of carbon. It takes a lot of carbon for this one car. And then when you go to charge it, your car is going to be charged with at least 50% carbon-created power, electricity. So you're actually increasing, in a lot of ways, carbon output. Anyways, that's just my opinion. What do I know? I'm just a regular guy. Well, I might know something about the Second Amendment, though. People are really starting to take an honest, deep, and critical look at it. I've got an article here that I thought you would find to be important. This article appeared on the Courageous Lion Substack. And it's talking about taking a closer look at the Second Amendment. And here's the quote from the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. It does not say a well-regulated standing army being necessary to the security of a tyrannical police state. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall always be infringed at every turn, and there's no penalty for it. Right? It doesn't say that. Now, this person, this Courageous Lion person from their Substack, looks like they took a page from the Prepared Mind Network. So America's waking up to the things you and I talk about, folks. He writes here, well-regulated means to run smoothly, be disciplined, and be well supplied. I say well-regulated means to be practiced, disciplined, right? Good at what you do. Regulated, good, efficient. So they have the same idea. They go on to say militia means the body of people consisting of lawful citizens in a free state of existence. That's who the militia is. And there is actual legislation explaining that. It's just that the people don't think about the words they read. We need to understand the spirit of the Constitution as well as the meaning of the words. And we have to adopt them and use them in our lives. If we do not, then what happens is the screwball Democrats will change the meaning of a word. And you'll turn around and use a word one day and someone will say, like Inigo Montoya, I do not think what you keep saying means what you think it means, right? In other words, you're using a word improperly. Example, pronoun. I am told to call people by the right pronouns. Well, number one, I don't have to call anybody by any pronoun. I don't give a shit what they say. But leaving that behind, right? Free speech allows me to think and talk the way I want. But the word pronoun doesn't mean pronoun. The word pronoun means you will submit to my will. Right? So when I say, I will not use your pronoun, I'm saying I will not submit to your will to make me say what you want me to say. But for everyone else who's not paying attention, they're like, well, it's just a pronoun. It's just a way to refer to someone. Why don't you do it? Because it's not about the pronoun. It's not about the pronoun. Anyways, a well-regulated, smooth-running, well-equipped, disciplined militia is necessary, essential, and needed for the security and safety of a free state, the whole nation for national security, the rights, liberties of the people, free and lawful citizens, to keep and bear arms, shall not, must not, will not be infringed or restricted and suppressed. What if the Second Amendment was written that way? Is that clear enough? If the Second Amendment was written this way, folks, a well-regulated, smooth-running, well-supplied, disciplined militia is necessary, essential, and needed for the security and safety of a free state. Does that spell it out? Or is it once again, well, we need the army. We need a standing army in place. You see, the argument really isn't about the meaning of the words. It's about getting you to obey. The First Amendment is very clear. And some of the earliest cases on free speech were very fucking clear. You cannot stop someone from saying whatever they want. This idea and concept of hate speech is bullshit. There is no hate speech. There is no hate action. There is only crime or not crime. But they want you to believe their words and obey their intent. If you changed all the words into the modern vernacular, and in this case, they add all these extra words to make sure it's well understood, doesn't matter. They still hate the guns. They still do not believe that us having guns is necessary. They don't care about a free state. They don't want a free state. They want an enslaved state. So claiming that it's for the security and safety of a free state, the Democrats have no intention of ever making that happen if they have a choice. They couldn't give a fuck about free, lawful citizens or any of our rights. And they don't care that they are told explicitly shall not be infringed. That's not the word they hear. They don't care. Are you prepared for what comes next? Right. We've got our hands full. Shit has hit the fan. I really want to thank you all for coming today and sharing this time with me. And there is absolutely no rest. You go from one one hot frying pan to another. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. But before I do, I'm going to say thank you to you all. If you're watching on YouTube, hit the thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and share this video with others. Get people, help them wake up. It's the only way we're going to get through this, is to wake people up and start taking action. Right? Lawful, of course. Godspeed, God bless, Semper Fi, and chance favors the prepared mind is yours.